So the question that was posed through Quora is as follows. If you were given an opportunity to help someone with communication skills, what would the guidance be that you would provide? So a couple things there is obviously, you're as a mentor, you're going to be asked at times to provide guidance regarding communication skills. And so the gist of the question is what would that guidance be? And this is actually a very topical question because a lot of the stuff that I'm seeing in organizations and a lot of the work that I'm being brought in to do revolves around the aspect of what I call effective communication or communication. But more importantly, it's the lack of communication in organizations. And that's causing all kinds of turmoil, and it's causing all kinds of negativity, all kinds of toxicity in the workplace. And so it's a real important topic for organizations to look at. So some of the things...
Can I just pick up on that? Because,
yeah.
And I know that you let out with that one, and that's great, because in the work that I've done, like in the mergers and acquisitions field, and I'm working on $100 million, $300 million mergers and acquisitions, and I do an activity that asks, what hinders and helps you moving forward in the merger and acquisition. I can always bet dimes to donuts. Lack of communication, lack of listening, lack as hindering, but hindering to the extent that they say that they're a weakness. In other words, it's truly holding them back from moving forward. So your point here is so on spot. And I just got to encourage those of us who are mentors, pay attention to this. But if you're listening to this outside of the world of mentoring, pay attention to this because it's important.
Well, and it certainly is. And as a trained, competent mentor, one of the things that I talk about quite often for organizations going through all that change in that is two words: change mediator. And the change mediator, by my definition, is a mentor. And it's somebody that you bring in to go through as part of your change management team. It's somebody that you bring in to mediate the change that's taking place in the organization. So when we take a look at, what are some of the things that you would want to be able to do as a mentor when you're trying to help someone with communication skills, one of them would be the whole idea of listening and hearing. We don't always hear what the other person is saying. And so sometimes we think we do, but if you were to ask yourself, I'm paying attention, I'm listening to what this person is saying, but did I actually hear what they were saying? Another thing that I find that gets a lot of us into hot water when it doesn't need to is we speak before we think. And so the big thing that we talk about, certainly with people that I work with, is I teach the concept of pausing before speaking. And when you pause, you're pausing to say, you're asking yourself very quickly, how would I feel if this was being said to me? How would I receive this information? And if there's any red flags that come up, then you need to not say it, you need to rephrase it and think of a different way to get your point across. One of the other things that I also find is that in conversations that take place, there are always trigger words. And those trigger words will guide, if you're paying attention, the trigger words will guide you where you need to take the conversation next. So as the mentor, it's being able to, okay, I heard that, so we need to go in this direction. And that way there, we're going to keep it flowing in the right way, and we're going to get the actions or the outcomes, that we're looking for at the end of the day. A couple other things that really stand out for me around effective communication is the idea of creating that safe place for the conversation to take place. We don't do that very well, but you can certainly see the people that have that knack or that gift for creating that safe comfort zone where people will just feel so comfortable that they open up and they share all kinds of different information. And a lot of it is information that you need in order to be able to guide them where, the two of you need to go. Crucial conversations is also a technique that we talk about quite a bit, and that's the ability to obviously use the safety idea of creating a safe place. But when the conversation all of a sudden is no longer safe, you need to know, how do I back out of it, and how do I retreat, so to speak, until it's safe to re-enter the conversation. So those are some things there. And like we had said at the beginning of this segment, which is poor communication is really truly the root cause of the large majority of issues facing organizations today. And so, that was the gist of my response back through the Quora site around the idea of, how would you go about helping someone who was obviously looking for guidance in the communication space.
Well, it's also, when we think of back in the organization, we have to remember there's charitable organizations, government organizations, academic organizations, corporate, small business, entrepreneurial. What we're talking about is mentoring in every and all organizations, and the importance of the communication, the importance of the listening that goes with that. So I don't want to lose it, because sometimes we'll talk about mentoring in the workplace programs and we'll sort of jump for some reason into that corporate sphere, and it's across all organizations. So